This is Jacob's Algebra, Chapter 10, Lesson 4, Part 2. I was in the middle of number 7, Part C, when the last video cut off. So for this problem, what we were given was x squared plus 6x minus 7. And they gave us the second parentheses, x minus 1. So we had to figure out what do we have to multiply by x minus 1 to get x squared plus 6x minus 7. Well, we knew that we had to start with an x because we need x times x to give us x squared. Now we're trying to figure out what we have to multiply by negative 1 to get a negative 7. Well, the only way to get a negative 7 is to multiply that negative 1 by a positive 7. Now we have to check. When we add our 7 and our negative 1, do we get 6? Well, 7 plus a negative 1 is 6, so this works out. So to factor x squared plus 6x minus 7, we need to multiply x plus 7 by x minus 1. So now we're going to do part D, for number 7, which is x squared minus 5x minus 24. This time also they provided us with the second parentheses. It really doesn't matter. And they gave us x plus 3. Well, we know to get this x squared term, we have to multiply this x by another x. So we know we need to start with an x here. Now they gave us a 3 at the end here. What do we have to multiply by 3 to get a negative 24? Well, we know it has to be a negative number because only a negative number times a positive number can give us a negative. What do we have to multiply by 3 to get a negative 24? Well, that's going to be a negative 8. And now we have to make sure that negative 8 plus 3 equals our middle term. Negative 8 plus 3 is a negative 5, so that works. So this is how you need to work number 7, which is just like number 14 that I assigned for homework. So now we're going to move on to number 8. Number 8 is factoring. It's just like number 7, except they didn't give you half the problem already this time. This time you have to work the entire thing. So we're going to start off with number 8, part H. And it says factor each of the following polynomials as the product of two binomials. So the first one they give us is x squared minus 49. Okay, we know that we're going to end up with two binomials, so we're going to have two sets of parentheses. To get this x squared, we're going to need to multiply x by x. Okay, that's not too bad. Now we need to figure out how can we get negative 49. Well, first let's just look at the number 49. To get 49 by multiplying two numbers, we have to do 1 times 49 or 7 times 7. Those are the only possible ways to get 49. Now, there is no middle term over here. We just have x squared and negative 49. So that means our middle term has to be something that cancels out. Well, to get this negative 49, we know we have to have one positive number and one negative number. So what that means is that when we find the difference of the two numbers, the difference has to be 0. Well, the difference between 49 and 1 is 48, so that one won't work. But the difference between 7 and 7 is 0, so that's the pair that we need. So when we look at this, 7 times a negative 7, that will give us negative 49. And when we add a positive 7 and a negative 7, that gives us 0. And there is no middle term, so that works. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is part I. Part I is x squared minus 17x. Whoops, my 1 didn't copy. Minus 17x plus 60. Okay, again, we're going to break this down into two binomials. Okay, we know we're going to start with an x in each parentheses to give us our x squared. Now, what numbers can we multiply to get 60? Well, we've got a lot of options to get 60. So I'm going to come over here to the right and make a list of all the things that can multiply to 60. We've got 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20, 4 times 15, 5 times 12, and 6 times 10. That's a lot of combinations. Now, we know that our last term is positive, but our middle term is negative. Well, the only way to multiply two numbers and end up with a positive answer is if both of the numbers you're multiplying have the same sign. And since our middle term is negative, and we get that middle term by adding our two numbers together, that means that we have to have two negative numbers. So we need a negative after both of these x's. We're going to subtract. Okay, so what pair of numbers over here that multiply to 60, what pair of these will add to 17? Well, 1 plus 60 is 61, so that doesn't work. 2 plus 30 is 32, that doesn't work. 3 plus 20 is 23, that doesn't work. 4 plus 15 is 19, that doesn't work. But 5 plus 12 is 17. So when we put in 5 and 12 here, negative 5 times negative 12 will give us a positive 60, and negative 5 plus a negative 12 will give us our negative 17. So that's how we factor x squared minus 17x plus 60. The next problem, part J, is x squared minus 23x plus 60. So I'm going to go ahead and write our pair of parentheses. We already have all the factors of 60 listed. This time also we're going to have two negative numbers because our final answer is positive. Our constant at the end is positive, but our middle term is negative. So we're going to have x minus in both of these parentheses because our middle term is negative, but our last term is positive. Now we need to find what pair of factors of 60 will add up to 23. Well, 1 plus 60 is 61, so that doesn't work. 2 plus 30 is 32, so that doesn't work. But 3 plus 20 is indeed 23. So if I put my numbers in here, we can see negative 3 times negative 20 is positive 60. And negative 3 plus a negative 20 gives us a negative 23. So that's how we factor out that problem. Now we're going to look at part K. Part K is x squared plus 11x minus 60. Okay, again, we'll have our pair of parentheses, and we know we're going to start with x. Now notice our last term, our constant here, is negative. Since it's negative, we know that we need a plus in one of these parentheses and we need a minus in the other. And because we have a plus and a minus, that means we're going to take the difference between the factors. So again, we're looking for the factors of 60, which I have written on the side. And we need to find a pair of factors that have a difference of 11. Not the sum of 11, but the difference of 11. So 60 minus 1 is 59. That doesn't work. 30 minus 2 is 28. That does not work. 20 minus 3 is 17. Does not work. 15 minus 4 is 9. Wait a second. No, 15 minus 4 is 11. It's not 9. 14 minus 5 is 9. 15 minus 4 is 11. So we need this pair, 4 and 15. Now, which one is positive and which one is negative? Well, since our middle term is positive, it means that our bigger number has to be positive. 15 is the bigger number in the pair, so we're going to say x plus 15, x minus 4. And now we check and multiply these two numbers to see if we get negative 60. Positive 15 times negative 4 is negative 60. Positive 15 plus a negative 4 gives us a positive 11. So that works. Now we'll do part L, which is the last one we're going to do from number 8. And that is x squared minus 4x minus 60. Again, we write our pair of parentheses. And we know we're going to start with x. Now this is a negative at the end here. Our final term is negative, so that means we know that we have a positive and a negative. We already have all of our factors of 60 written out. So now we need to find a pair of factors of 60 that have a difference of 4. We know it's a difference because we have two different signs here. So 60 minus 1 is 59. That doesn't work. 30 minus 2 is 28. That doesn't work. 20 minus 3 is 17. That doesn't work. 15 minus 4 is 11. We already used that one. 12 minus 5 is 7, which does not work. 10 minus 6 is 4. Okay, so 6 and 10 is the pair that we need. Now, our middle term is negative. That means our bigger number has to be negative. 10 is our bigger number, so we make 10 our negative and we make 6 our positive. Now, positive 6 times negative 10 is negative 60, and a positive 6 plus a negative 10 will give us a negative 4. So that's how we work out x squared minus 4x minus 60. And this is just like number 15 that I assigned for homework. Now we're going to move on to number 9. So this is what number 9, part A looks like. It says use the diagrams below to factor each of the following polynomials. So for part A, the polynomial is x squared plus 3xy plus 2y squared, and the book provides you with a worked out diagram for it below. So all you have to do is look at the diagram and write down what the diagram tells you. What they're wanting you to write down for this is what things you have to multiply to get x squared plus 3xy plus 2y squared. So we take what's on the top, which is x plus y, and we multiply it by what's on the side, which is x plus 2y. And that's all that the problem is asking you to do. The problem is already worked out for you. All you need to do is put your pairs of parentheses up and write one of the factors in one parentheses and the other pair of factors in the other parentheses. So that is all that it's looking for on number 9. It gives you the diagram. All you have to do is write it down in parentheses and you're done with this problem. So that's number 9, which is just like number 16 that was assigned as homework. So the last one we're going to look at is number 10. Number 10 says factor each of the following polynomials. So this time they just give you the problem and you're just supposed to figure out how to work it out. So for part A, we have x squared plus 8xy plus 15y squared. Okay, so we can write out our pair of parentheses, and we know we're going to start with x in each pair. Now, how can we make 15y squared? Well, let's write out our factors of 15 and our factors of y squared. Our factors of 15 are 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. To get y squared, we can do 1 times y squared, or we can do y times y. Since our middle term has a y only, we know that it should be just a y. We need a pair of numbers that multiply to 15 and add to 8. 1 plus 15 is 16, so that doesn't work. But 3 plus 5 is 8. So we're going to write 1 plus 3y and x plus 5y. We need the y in there to fill this y squared at the end. Okay, so now we're going to do part B. Part B is x squared plus 7xy minus 18y squared. So again, we're going to write down our pair of parentheses. We need to write out the factors of 18. The factors of 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. And that's all the factors we have for 18. So we're going to go ahead and start off with our x because we need x times x to give us x squared. Because our middle term is 7xy, we know that we have something y here. We have a negative for our product. That means that we have one positive and one negative. And that means that we need to find a pair of factors that have a difference of 7 rather than a sum of 7, because these are opposite signs. So 18 minus 1 is 17. That doesn't work. But 9 minus 2 is 7, and that does work. This is a positive 7, so we need our bigger number to be positive. The bigger number is 9. The smaller number is 2. 9 times negative 2 will give us the negative 18. And 9 plus a negative 2 will give us a negative 7. Okay, we're going to do one more, part C. Well, I'll try to do it. xy plus 4x plus 4y plus 16. This is a more difficult problem, so I would recommend using the grid method for it. What you need to do is look for your common term. In the first row, the common term is x. In the second row, common factor, the greatest common factor is 4. In the first column, the greatest common factor is y. In the second column, the greatest common factor is 4. So this would be factored x plus 4 times y plus 4.